In the hushed atmosphere of the downtown Chicago law firm, Leo's world shattered, as his father's eyes blazing with contempt lit a match and deliberately burned the $38 million inheritance check from his grandfather's will right before his eyes. The acrid smell of scorched paper filled the room, but what Leo couldn't foresee was how this act of destruction would lead him to uncover a fortune of acceptance and love that transcended any dollar amount, forever altering his bond with Miles and his understanding of family. The lawyer, Mr. Harrington, sat frozen behind his mahogany desk, his pen hovering uselessly above a stack of documents. "Mr. Thompson, this is highly irregular," he stammered, but Leo's father, Richard, didn't care. He held the flaming paper high, letting the ashes drift onto the Persian rug. "This is what happens when you choose that lifestyle over family," Richard spat, turning his glare on Leo. "Your grandfather must have been senile to leave this to you. Consider it gone." Leo, a 28-year-old marketing executive with kind blue eyes and neatly styled brown hair, felt his knees buckle. He had come out to his family 2 years ago expecting tension, but not this level of hatred. His mother, Elaine, sat quietly in the corner, tears streaming down her face but saying nothing. The room spun as Leo processed the loss, not just the money but the final connection to the grandfather who had always been his rock. Richard's voice echoed in his head, the same voice that had once praised his little league home runs, now dripping with disgust. As Richard stormed out, slamming the door, Leo turned to the lawyer. "Is that it? Is there nothing left?" Mr. Harrington cleared his throat, avoiding eye contact. "The will was clear, but your father was the executor. Legally, he had the power." "I'm sorry, Leo." Outside on the bustling Michigan Avenue, the wind whipped at Leo's coat as he pulled out his phone with trembling hands. He dialed Miles, his partner of 3 years, the man who had become his everything. "Miles, it's gone. He burned it. All of it." Miles' voice, calm and steady from their apartment in Lincoln Park, cut through the chaos. "Come home, babe. We'll figure this out together." When Leo arrived, Miles was waiting with open arms. The tall, athletic African-American man with warm brown eyes pulled him into a tight embrace. "Your dad has always been like this, but you're stronger than him." They sat on the couch, Leo recounting every detail, the anger, the humiliation. Miles listened, but Leo could see the frustration in his eyes. "We should fight it, Leo. Hire our own lawyer. That money could change our lives." Leo shook his head. "It's not about the money. It's about him rejecting who I am. Again." That night, as they lay in bed, Leo stared at the ceiling. Memories flooded back of his grandfather, the wise old man who took him fishing in Wisconsin summers, never judging, always listening. Why had he left such a fortune? And why did his father hate him so much for loving Miles? The questions swirled until exhaustion finally claimed him, but sleep brought no peace, only dreams of burning paper and his father's cold eyes. The next morning, Leo dragged himself to his job at a downtown ad agency. Colleagues whispered as he passed the news had spread somehow. His boss, sympathetic but distant, suggested he take the day off. Alone in his cubicle, Leo felt the weight of isolation. Being gay in corporate America was one thing, but this public family drama made it worse. He scrolled through old photos on his phone, pictures of Grandpa smiling at his college graduation, pictures of Miles and him at Pride last summer. Each image reminded him how far he had come and how much he still had to lose. Miles texted encouraging messages throughout the day, but Leo's mind raced with doubts. Was he the reason for his family's fracture? Could he ever be accepted? The internal conflict gnawed at him, a crisis of identity that went deeper than the lost inheritance. By evening, Leo and Miles shared a quiet dinner at their favorite Italian spot. The candlelight flickered on Miles' face as he reached across the table. "I love you, Leo. No amount of money changes that." But Leo pulled away slightly, the pressure mounting. "What if I'm not worth it? What if this is my fault?" Miles sighed, but the conversation shifted to lighter topics, though the tension lingered. Little did Leo know a call from Mr. Harrington the next day would change everything. "Leo, there's something your grandfather left in a private codicil. It's not money. It's something bigger. Meet me tomorrow." Leo arrived at the law office the following afternoon, heart pounding as he stepped into the same room where everything had burned. Mr. Harrington looked different today, less guarded, more purposeful. "Your grandfather anticipated this," the lawyer said, sliding a sealed envelope across the desk. He left instructions that this only be given to you if your father acted exactly as he did. Open it when you're ready. Leo stared at the thick cream paper, his name written in Grandpa's familiar slanted handwriting. Outside the city hummed on, but inside Leo felt the first crack of hope since the flames. He waited until he reached the lakefront park where he and Miles often walked. Sitting on a bench with the wind off Lake Michigan ruffling his hair, Leo tore open the envelope. Inside were two items: a small silver key and a handwritten letter. "My dear Leo," it began, "if you're reading this, your father has shown his true colors. The check was never the real gift. That key opens a safe deposit box at First National in Milwaukee. What you find there will show you the life I could never live openly. Use it wisely. Love, Grandpa." Leo's hands shook. He called Miles immediately. "We're driving to Milwaukee tomorrow." Grandpa left something else. Miles met him at the door that night, excitement mixing with concern. "This could be huge, babe. But promise me we face it together no matter what." They spent the evening planning the trip, packing light, talking about what the box might hold. For the first time since the burning, Leo felt a spark of purpose. The drive north the next morning was quiet at first, then filled with stories. Leo told Miles about summers at Grandpa's cabin, how the old man taught him to bait a hook and to stand tall even when the world pushed back. Miles shared his own coming-out story from a strict Atlanta family, the years of hiding before they met at a mutual friend's barbecue in Chicago. By the time they reached the bank, the bond between them felt stronger than ever. The safe deposit box revealed another envelope, thicker this time, and a flash drive. The letter inside explained everything. Grandpa had lived a double life, loving a man named Thomas for 30 years, keeping their relationship secret to protect the family business. The check was a decoy. The real inheritance was 51% ownership of a nationwide chain of community centers and cafes designed as safe spaces for LGBTQ youth. The business, now valued at over $200 million, had been growing quietly in Grandpa's name. Leo was to become the new face and leader. Miles read over Leo's shoulder, eyes wide. "This is beyond imagination. Your grandpa built a legacy for people like us." Leo sat back stunned. The weight of responsibility settled on his shoulders, but so did a sense of pride he had never known. They drove back to Chicago in silence, processing the revelation. That night over takeout, Miles asked the question Leo had been avoiding. "Are you going to tell your dad?" Leo shook his head. "Not yet. I need time to understand what this means for me, for us." The following weeks blurred into meetings with accountants, lawyers, and the current managers of the centers. Leo learned the business had locations in Chicago, New York, Los Angeles, and smaller towns, each one a beacon for young people struggling with identity. He visited the Chicago Center after hours, watching teenagers laugh over coffee, feeling the same warmth Grandpa must have felt. Yet doubts crept in. Could he step into those shoes while still working his corporate job? Would the world accept a gay man running such a visible empire? One evening after a long day, Miles surprised him with a homemade dinner and a quiet proposal. "Whatever you decide, I'm here. But I see how this lights you up, Leo. Don't let fear dim that." They talked late into the night about the future, the sacrifices, the possibilities. For the first time, Leo allowed himself to imagine leading the centers with Miles at his side, building something real and lasting. The first public announcement came sooner than Leo expected. A small press release about the leadership transition went out, and suddenly his phone wouldn't stop ringing. Colleagues at the ad agency congratulated him, some with genuine warmth, others with thinly veiled envy. His boss pulled him aside, offering a promotion if he stayed, but Leo already knew his path had changed. He gave notice that afternoon, feeling both terrified and free. Miles celebrated with him at a quiet rooftop bar overlooking the river. "To new beginnings," he toasted, clinking glasses. The city lights reflected in Miles' eyes, and for a moment the future seemed bright and possible. Yet Leo's mother called the next morning, voice trembling. "Your father saw the news. He's furious, Leo. He wants to meet." The conversation was short and icy, Richard demanding Leo renounce the inheritance, claiming it was built on lies. Leo hung up, heart heavy but resolved. Traveling to the Los Angeles Center for a board meeting, Leo and Miles rented a convertible and drove the Pacific Coast Highway, stopping at beaches and roadside diners. The trip felt like a second honeymoon, laughter, easy conversation, hands intertwined on the gear shift. In LA, they met the local team, diverse, energetic people who welcomed Leo like family. One young coordinator named Alex shared his own story of rejection and how the center had saved him. Leo left inspired, ready to expand programs nationwide. Back in Chicago, reality hit hard. A tabloid article surfaced questioning Leo's qualifications, hinting at nepotism and his lifestyle. Comments online were brutal, some from people who claimed to know his family. Leo read them late one night, unable to sleep. Miles found him staring at the screen. "They don't know you. We'll get through this." But the words stung, deepening Leo's internal battle. Was he strong enough for the spotlight? A week later, Leo received an official letter from his father's attorney contesting the codicil, claiming undue influence. The lawsuit threatened to tie up the entire estate in court for years. Leo met with his own legal team, feeling the pressure mount. Miles stood by him, attending every meeting, offering quiet strength, but Leo could sense the strain on their relationship. Late nights, working strategy sessions left little time for dates or simple moments together. One weekend, they escaped to Wisconsin, visiting Grandpa's old cabin, now part of the trust. Walking the same trails Leo had as a boy, he read more of the hidden letters Grandpa had written to Thomas. The love poured from the pages, raw and beautiful. Tears fell as Leo realized his grandfather had sacrificed visibility for safety, yet still built a world where Leo could live openly. That realization shifted something inside him. He returned to Chicago, determined to fight not just for the money but for the message. The court hearing loomed like a storm cloud. Leo spent days preparing affidavits, gathering statements from center directors and even former beneficiaries. Miles took time off work to support him, but tension simmered. During one argument, Miles snapped, "I feel like I'm losing you to this legacy, Leo. When was the last time we just talked about us?" The words cut deep. Leo apologized, promising balance, but the damage lingered. Friendships shifted too. His closest coworker, Sarah, who had known him since college, suddenly distanced herself after the lawsuit news broke. At a group dinner, she avoided eye contact and left early. Later, Leo learned through mutual friends that her conservative family had pressured her. The betrayal hurt more than he expected, reminding him how fragile acceptance could be. Yet new connections formed. At the Chicago Center, he met Jamal, a volunteer counselor who had lost his own family years earlier. Their conversations stretched late into evenings, Jamal offering perspective Leo desperately needed. "Your grandpa didn't build this for perfection, Leo. He built it for people who are still figuring it out, including you." Those words stayed with Leo, helping him navigate the media storm that followed. The hearing day arrived cold and gray. Richard sat across the courtroom, jaw set, refusing to meet Leo's eyes. Elaine sat beside him, looking smaller than ever. Lawyers argued technicalities for hours, but when Leo took the stand, he spoke from the heart. "This isn't about money. It's about honoring a man who loved quietly so others could love loudly. I won't let fear win." The judge listened, expression unreadable. Afterward, Miles waited outside with coffee and a hug. "You were incredible." They drove home in silence, but the air felt lighter. That night, they cooked together, laughed over old stories, and fell asleep wrapped in each other's arms. The lawsuit wasn't over, but Leo felt ready for whatever came next. Traveling to New York for the next center opening, Leo and Miles explored the city like tourists. Central Park picnics, Broadway shows, and quiet moments in their hotel reminded them why they fought so hard. Leo announced new scholarship programs during the ribbon cutting, feeling Grandpa's presence in every smile from the crowd. Back home, the lawsuit escalated. Richard filed additional motions claiming the entire chain belonged to the family corporation. Leo's legal bills mounted, forcing him to dip into personal savings. Miles suggested selling their condo to free up cash, but Leo refused, unwilling to lose another piece of their shared life. The stress showed in small ways: missed dinners, sharp words, sleepless nights. One evening, Miles came home early, finding Leo pacing the living room. "We need to talk," Miles said, voice steady but eyes tired. "I love you more than anything, but I can't keep watching you drown in this. Choose us or choose the fight, Leo. I won't be second place." The ultimatum hung heavy. Leo spent the night on the couch, replaying every moment of their relationship, the laughter, the support, the quiet strength Miles had always given. The next morning Leo made coffee and sat across from Miles. "I was wrong to push you away. The legacy means nothing without you. We fight together or not at all." They hugged, tears mixing with relief. From that day forward Miles joined strategy sessions, attended fundraisers, and even spoke at one center event sharing their story. Their partnership grew deeper, forged in fire. A surprise visitor changed everything. Elaine arrived unannounced one Sunday carrying a box of Grandpa's old photos. "Your father doesn't know I'm here," she whispered. Inside the box were pictures of Grandpa and Thomas laughing at picnics, holding hands in hidden corners. "He loved you, Leo. He wanted you to have what he never could." Mother and son talked for hours, forgiveness flowing where anger once lived. The final court date approached. Leo prepared his closing statement with Miles by his side. The night before they walked along the lakefront, promising each other that no matter the outcome their future remained bright. The judge's gavel fell with finality. "The codicil stands. Mr. Thompson, the estate passes to your son as intended." Richard stared straight ahead, face pale, but said nothing. Elaine squeezed Leo's hand across the aisle, tears of relief shining. Outside the courthouse Miles lifted Leo off the ground, spinning him in celebration. Photographers snapped pictures, but this time the flashes felt like victory. Weeks later Leo stood on the stage at the grand reopening of the flagship Chicago Center. The crowd of supporters, young people, families, and allies filled every seat. Miles sat in the front row, pride radiating from his smile. Leo spoke of Grandpa's quiet courage, of love that refused to stay hidden, and of the future they would build together. Applause thundered as he announced new program scholarships and expansions, all funded by the legacy now fully his. That evening Leo and Miles returned to the Wisconsin cabin, now their private retreat. They sat on the porch watching the sunset over the lake, hands intertwined. "We did it," Leo whispered. Miles kissed his temple. "We did it together." The years ahead stretched bright, with possibility, challenges still waiting, but no longer faced alone. Leo had grown from the shocked young man in the lawyer's office into someone who understood that true fortune lived in courage, in chosen family, and in love that refused to burn. His father's rejection no longer defined him. Instead, it had freed him to become the man Grandpa always believed he could be. True or false? A father's rejection can never define a son's true worth when love and self-acceptance light the way.